Apples by Gail Gibbons. An apple is a fruit. It grows on an apple tree. Apple trees grow in more parts of the world than any other fruit trees. They have been in existence for about 2 million years. The first American colonists brought apple seeds and seedlings with them from England. As the colonists moved westward, they brought apple seeds and seedlings with them. Some settlers found that Native American Indians had already brought apple seeds west and had apple trees growing near their villages. Many times during the early 1800s, John Chapman traveled throughout the wilderness of Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Indiana planting apple seeds. Also, he gave seeds and seedlings to the settlers there. He became known as Johnny Appleseed. Some apples are grown at home, but most are grown commercially. Each year, about 250 million bushels of apples are grown in the United States, and about 28 million bushels are grown in Canada. An apple is a firm, crisp, fleshy fruit with a hard center called a core. The core has 5 seed chambers. Look at the diagram of the apple. You can see that this is an apple diagram of a Macintosh apple. At the top, there's a stem. On the outside, it's called the skin. And then as you can see on the inside, it's called a core with seed chambers called carpels. And the seeds are inside those carpels. In the springtime, flowers, called apple blossoms, begin to bloom on an apple tree. Each blossom has to be pollinated in order for an apple to grow. The blossoms are usually pollinated by insects or by the wind. Pollination happens when a grain of pollen from a stamen lands on the stigma of another blossom. And as you can see, this is a diagram of a bee pollinating a flower and landing on the stamen. After a while, the blossoms begin to die and apples start to grow. Throughout the warm summer, the little apples grow bigger and bigger. During the late summer or early fall, the apples ripen. When the trees are loaded with ripe apples, it is harvest time. Workers pick the apples by hand. What do you think it means when fruit is ripened? Some are shipped to stores. Some are used to make apple juice, apple cider, apple jelly, apple sauce, and lots of other apple products. And some are sold in baskets at roadside stands. During the fall, it's fun to go apple picking. Also, there are county fairs. Awards are given to the best looking apples, the best tasting apple pies, and the most delicious applesauce. There is apple cider too. During Halloween, there are caramel apples and candy apples. Some people bob for apples. When winter arrives, the apple tree branches become bare. The trees will become dormant until next spring, when the trees will produce a new crop of apples. And dormant means alive but not actively growing. Apples have many tastes, ranging from sweet to tart. All apples are different shades of yellow, green, and red, or a mix of those colors. And as you can see, this is a picture of some common apples grown in North America. We have the Rome Beauty, the Macintosh, Jonathan, Stamen, Red Delicious, Golden Delicious, which happens to be my personal favorite, the York apple, and the Granny Smith are all types of apples. An apple tree will not grow apples until it's about 5 to 8 years old. Each spring, the new tree branches are trimmed. This is called pruning. Most apple trees grow to be about 20 feet tall. The soil around the tree should be fertilized. The pruning and fertilizing help produce lots of good apples. And as you can see on this page, it says how to plant and care for an apple tree. And it has 5 steps. Let's look at the sequence. Number 1, it's best to plant a seedling in the fall. Number 2, dig a hole that is big enough to give the seedling's roots room to grow. Number 3, after placing the seedlings into the hole, add topsoil. Number 4, pack down the soil to give the seedlings support. And last but not least, number 5, water the seedling. It will need about 10 gallons of water each week during the first few months after planting. Make your own apple pie with the help of an adult. Here is how apple cider press works. Take a moment and look at these 2 pages. They are giving you 2 different types of sequencing on how to do a different activity. On the left page, you see a sequence of how to bake an apple pie. On the second page, you can notice how there is 4 steps to the sequence of making apple cider. There are thousands of varieties or kinds of apples. They are all nutritious and delicious. The end. That was Apples by Gail Gibbons.